When I Fall by Scarlet Emerald 32. Chapter 22. Talissa sat in the back of the van next to Eric. The RV was directly in front of them, and Eric looked from it, back to her.
Still can't believe you chose to ride on these hard bench seats with us, when you could have had a cushy, relaxing one in there.
You chose the van too.
Yeah, but I have a very compelling reason to be letting my ass go numb on this hard seat.
He leaned forward and put a hand on his husband's shoulder. Aaron looked back and smiled at him. Talissa gave them both an appreciative smirk, before looking back at the RV in front of them and sighing.
I can't be back in there. It's just too soon.
Me too, which is why our asses are getting numb in these van seats.
Well, either way, I welcome the company.
Gabriel said from the driver's seat. He slowed the van and turned onto a side road, following the RV. Talissa looked up in curiosity.
We can't be here already. It's only been about 2 hours since we stopped to pick up the explosives.
We have one more stop to make. There's a couple more friends we need to meet up with.
Who do we...
Talissa began, but then she saw them waiting in a clearing next to the road.
What are you guys doing here?
She hopped out of the van and ran to hug Enid and Jesus.
Heard you guys are getting ready to make a big move. Get us the supplies we need to fight. Figured Hilltop should get some representation. And we brought someone else too.
Talissa looked up and saw Daryl walking up to the group as well. She walked the few steps to him and pulled him into a one-armed hug.
Hey, you. Aren't you supposed to be at the kingdom?
Wasn't about to sit around on my ass while you guys are gearing up for a fight. Left Morgan to work on Ezekiel with that Richard guy. And Carol.
He added this last part quietly just to her, and she looked up sharply.
Carol's there?
Yeah. She's in the house about a mile out. Morgan didn't tell us 'cause she wants to be alone. And listen.
He looked up to where Rick was organizing the group a few feet away.
Don't tell Rick, okay? He won't be able to leave it alone, and she don't want anyone to know.
Then why'd you tell me?
'Cause you're good with secrets. I needed to tell somebody. And I know I can trust you.
Talissa gave him a smile and squeezed his arm slightly before heading towards Enid.
Hey, you. Since when do you go on missions?
Since people finally started realizing I can take care of myself.
For the record, I always knew you could take care of yourself.
Yeah, I know you did.
I'd ask you if you wanted to ride with us in the van, but I have a feeling you've already got a seat saved for you in the RV.
Talissa shot the younger woman a wink as she saw Carl leaning out of the door and watching their approach.
You are so lame.
Enid gave her a pronounced eye roll, but she walked over and climbed into the RV anyway. Jesus walked to the van with Talissa and hopped in, sitting on her left side, so she was now sandwiched between him and Eric.
Kinda surprised Sasha didn't want to come along on this little adventure.
She noticed Jesus' expression falter.
Oh God, what now?
Sasha left yesterday afternoon. Rosita showed up, and they took off together.
Damn. So they're really gonna try to do it then, huh?
Yeah, I think so. You know, if there's any way for them to get him out, any opportunity at all, there's no way they leave him behind.
I can't think about it right now. If I get my hopes up, even for a minute.
Yeah, I get that.
Jesus looked out the window and was quiet for a little while.
I should have tried harder to stop them.
You couldn't have. This was always the path they were going to take, for better or worse. We've all got shit to do now, and all we can do is keep moving forward.
They drove for another 2 hours out towards the coast, and then they loaded out of the cars for the hike down the beach.
We're lucky we got here for low tide. At high tide, they're completely cut off. It's one of the ways they stay secure.
You doing all right?
Talissa looked over at Tara as she walked along next to her.
Not really. I'm about to betray a bunch of innocent women and children. Kind of feel like one of the shittiest people ever, but it needs to get done.
Are you ready if this goes south?
It won't.
If it does, you don't have to feel bad.
I do feel bad, Rick, and I will.
They walked for another 45 minutes until they reached the edge of the forest.
This is the edge of their territory. I'm going in alone. You guys set up our contingency plan and give me a half an hour. If I don't give you the signal by then,
Tara sighed heavily.
I guess we do this the hard way.
She marched off through the trees, and Rick turned to Talissa and Michonne.
You two still good to be the lookouts?
They nodded and walked to trees about 15 feet apart and began to climb into the low branches. Rick went over to Michonne's tree to give her a boost and then looked up at her.
Once you're up there, watch for the signal.
When does the clock start?
As soon as she's in.
Rick put his hand against the side of Michonne's leg.
You good?
I'm good enough.
Rick turned to look at Talissa in the neighboring tree.
What she said. Anyway, it's gotta be done, right?
Yes, it does.
Both women climbed up high in the trees and found sturdy branches to wedge themselves on. Talissa watched as Jesus and Daryl rolled out the Primacord and laid the explosives along the leaf-strewn ground 100 feet to their right.
Using explosives to scare them, then herding them all together with our guns and forcing them to do what we want. Tell me how we're the good guys again?
We're the good guys because once we win, these people won't have to be afraid anymore.
I wonder how many people who live with the Saviors think that. That the Saviors are the good guys because they do what needs to be done to keep them safe, to make it so they don't have to be afraid.
Michonne leaned down slightly so she could see Talissa's face and meet her eye.
Are you going to be able to do this?
Talissa shook her head and looked back up at her with a tired smile.
Yeah, I'm good. Just had way too much time to think lately is all. I know we need to get this done, and in truth, no matter how much I talk about right and wrong, and good and evil, when it comes down to it, I know there's nothing I wouldn't do to save Eugene, including this.
Good, because time's almost up.
After another 10 minutes, Rick walked back over to the trees they were in.
Everybody is in position. We've got 5 more minutes. If we don't see the signal, it's starting.
Michonne nodded down at him in understanding, and he walked away. The two women shared a significant look as they waited. It felt like only seconds had passed, though Talissa was sure Rick waited the full 5 minutes, when there was a loud explosion and a plume of fire a few hundred feet to their right. Talissa grabbed the tree to steady herself, as a second blast went off closer this time, and then a third in front of them, close enough that she could feel the heat against her skin. She heard screams echoing from somewhere in the forest, and a few seconds later, they saw the first of the women running through the trees.
Get ready.
Michonne braced her rifle against her shoulder and looked down the scope. Talissa did the same, and they waited. When the first of the Oceansiders made it to the invisible line they designated, she and Michonne began firing rounds into the ground by their feet, making them jump back. Talissa tried her best not to think about the moment with the RV that the Saviors did the same to them. The Oceansiders turned back only to be met by Carl and Daryl pointing weapons at them.
On the ground now, hands on your head.
Talissa watched, the pit in her stomach growing, as the others herded the rest of the Oceansiders into the clearing and sat them down with their friends in a group. There were children there who couldn't have been older than 7. They all looked around in fear as Rick walked out of the woods and stood in front of them.
Everybody stay calm. We don't want anyone to get hurt. Just stay down and do what we say. We want this to go as simply and as peacefully as possible. All of you can make it that way.
He looked around at the women sitting on the ground.
Now we made a lot of noise. We want to wrap this up as quick as we can, so you can send people to redirect anything coming this way. Tara said your forests are relatively clear, so we won't take any chances. No one has to get hurt. This is just about what you have that we need.
Nobody's taking anything.
3 women stepped out from behind one of the trees to their left. The first was younger, probably around Talissa's age, with long curly black hair. The second was older, in her mid-60s at least, and she was marching Tara in front of her with a gun pressed to her temple. Talissa instinctively moved to go to her aid, but Michonne gave her a warning look and shook her head.
You need to let everyone go and leave right now. Just walk away, or this one dies.
Okay. We'll leave you alone. That's fine. But we're taking your weapons with us. That's not gonna change.
The woman pushed the gun harder against Tara's temple in an obvious threat, but Rick didn't shy away. He took another cautious step towards her.
It's Natanya, right? Put the gun down and let's talk about this.
No, you leave now!
Michonne, don't.
Tara called out, and Talissa jumped slightly. She'd been so focused on what was happening on the ground that she hadn't noticed Michonne had trained her rifle on Natanya. Several of the women looked up and realized what was happening, including Natanya. She looked back to Rick.
We just want to be left alone.
They want us to fight the saviors.
The second woman said to the women seated on the ground, and Talissa felt a spark of hope as she saw the murmur go through the group on the ground. Many of the faces seemed happy, some even looked excited at the prospect.
We already tried, and we lost. We lost too much. We're not going to lose anymore. Not our guns, not our safety, not after everything we've done to get here.
We're going to win. With your guns and with or without your help. Natanya, put the gun down. Please. You kill me and you die. And then my people take the guns and nothing changes.
Maybe we should try.
One of the women on the ground said quietly. The dark-haired woman stepped hesitantly forward and put a hand on Natanya's arm.
Grandma, stop. It's over. Just talk to them, okay?
It's not over. They've forgotten. You all forgotten. Some of you actually want to fight them? After everything? We can lose our guns, but us leaving this place after everything we've done to earn our safety? I have to remind you.
She pulled Tara in closer and repositioned the gun against her head.
Yes, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to die. But that's what's important. This is your life, all of you. Remember what it looks like. Remember what they did to us.
Talissa saw movement in the trees to their right.
Michonne!
Michonne quickly looked through the scope of her rifle.
Rick, walkers incoming.
Everybody up! Get the children behind us.
The sounds of the dead began to fill the forest around them, and Natanya let go of Tara and helped get her people in line.
First shift, join them on the line. Knives out, dead only.
Everyone, shots within 10 feet of the line. That's it.
The front line filled in, and they began systematically taking out the walkers. Those with guns taking them down as they got close, and the women from Oceanside clearing the ones who broke through with their knives. Talissa and Michonne added support from the trees as they could, and after about 10 minutes, they had cleared the herd. Natanya looked back up at Rick with a hard but resigned expression.
We're not fighting them with you. Just take your damn guns and go.
Talissa watched as Jesus and Aaron loaded the last of the crates into the truck. Tara was standing a little ways off, talking with the dark-haired woman whose name she now knew was Cindy. Some of the women watched them with interested, hopeful expressions, but even more were glaring at them the same way she was sure she glared at Negan every time he showed up in Alexandria. Daryl walked up to stand beside her.
We're gonna bring their shit back once we're done. We're not gonna leave them with nothing.
That's literally what we're doing right now.
I know, but we gotta do what we gotta do. I don't like it either, but
we have to win.
He grunted in agreement.
Daryl, how bad is it?
She knew she didn't have to explain herself. He was quiet for a long moment before he answered.
For me, it was bad, but I was dealing with more shit. With Glenn.
He stopped and looked down at his feet.
Negan wanted to break me. He knew he needed to before he could get anywhere with me. He's smart.
He looked back up at her.
He knows he don't have to break Eugene. Worst he's gonna do is keep him scared so he stays in line. He's okay.
Talissa closed her eyes and nodded, wiping away the tear that escaped from her eye and down her cheek. Daryl gave her shoulder a gentle nudge with his own.
Hey, look what they had.
He held up a second crossbow slightly smaller than his own. She looked over at it and smiled.
Soon as we get this shit done, I'll take you out and start practicing. Deal?
Deal.
Tara walked back towards the group after giving Cindy a hug. As she did, a girl who couldn't have been more than 12 stood up and looked at her.
You're not leaving us any?
No, see you, Rachel.
Tara said without looking back, and she punctuated it with an obscene hand gesture over her shoulder. Talissa grinned and threw an arm around her shoulders as they walked back towards the truck.
I take it back. You are officially my second favorite person.
About fucking time.
It was dark by the time they pulled up to Alexandria. As the gates slowly opened, they were all surprised to see Rosita standing there. They all jumped out of the cars and ran to where she was standing. Enid got there first.
Hey, are you okay? Where's Sasha?
Rosita looked from her to the others and back with a haunted expression that made Talissa's blood run cold.
There's someone here.
She turned to head back inside. They followed her down the road and into the home where Talissa knew Morgan had built the cell in the basement. They headed down the stairs to find none other than Dwight sitting behind the bars. As soon as Daryl saw him, he sprang into action. Rick spun, putting his hands on his chest and pushing him back.
Slow down, come on.
Daryl stopped fighting, but he continued to glare daggers at him as he moved back to lean against the wall.
He said he wants to help us.
Rick looked over at him in surprise.
Is that true? You want to help?
Dwight nodded.
I do.
Okay, then you can start by telling us what the hell you did with Eugene.
Talissa shoved past Rick into the cell, and Dwight looked up at her in mild surprise.
Eugene?
Yes, Eugene, the guy who made the bullet. I know you know who he is. You were here when...
Yeah, I know who he is. What do you want to know?
Is he alive?
Dwight looked at her in confusion, and then back at the others as if waiting for someone to explain what he was missing.
Yeah. He's fine. Negan put him in charge of perimeter defense. He's fitting in just fine over there.
Talissa took a step back.
What are you talking about?
He gave Negan a good idea for how to strengthen our defenses. So he made him an officer. He's with Negan now, and he turned on you guys.
You're lying. You're a goddamned liar. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't betray us. He wouldn't betray me.
She launched herself at him, but Rick caught her around the waist, pulling her back as she flailed angrily, trying to get at Dwight. A look of understanding flashed across Dwight's face. He looked up at her as angry tears began to fall down her cheeks.
Holy shit. You didn't ask Negan to spare him out of pity.
He pressed his hands together and tapped them against his mouth.
Were you two together?
Talissa wrenched herself out of Rick's arms and took a step backwards to stand next to Daryl, still breathing heavily as she watched Dwight. She refused to let herself believe it. It couldn't be true. There had to be some explanation. It was part of his plan to escape, or to hold out until they could get to him. She couldn't allow herself to even think that he would do what Dwight was saying.
All right. You say you want to help?
Rick lifted his revolver and pointed it at Dwight's face.
Get down on your knees.
Sasha sat staring at the flickering light from the small lantern in her cell. She watched as the blood from the body of the man Negan had killed for trying to rape her trickled closer to her with each second. He hadn't started to turn yet, but she knew it was a matter of time. She looked down at the knife in her hand, the knife Negan had given her. The fury inside her was so strong that a part of her wanted to just sit there and let the damn walker make a meal out of her, just so she didn't give him the satisfaction of doing what he wanted. She heard the sound of the lock being turned over and looked up as the door opened. She froze in shock when she saw it wasn't Negan standing over her.
Eugene?
I brought you some creature comforts. Full disclosure, the pillow is not hypoallergenic.
He set a blanket and pillow down next to her. Sasha stared up at him in disbelief. He was clean and seemed to be well fed. His clothes were new, and she could tell he'd had a haircut recently.
What did they do to you?
He sighed heavily and leaned back against the door.
They're keeping me safe.
The silence stretched between them until he finally spoke again.
There was some debate as to whether or not I should come in here. They said in the event of a hostage situation with that pig sticker that I would be fully on my own. I wanted you to know that.
I'm not going to hurt you, Eugene. I would never do that.
He looked up at her, his expression unsure.
Why is that?
You know why. Because she wouldn't want me to.
Eugene looked away at that, staring up at the ceiling as if he was searching for what to say next.
Negan relayed to me his offer to you.
He looked down to meet her eye now.
It's my opinion that you should accept said offer, just as I did.
Sasha stared at him, too stunned to speak. Eugene looked down at the floor again and sighed heavily.
You know, I believed that I could be brave, that I could be a survivor like Abraham. Riding that RV into the sunset, it was one of the greatest moments of my life. But I know now that I was full tilt delusional about all of it. I have never in my life been as scared as I was that night in the woods, kit to the grit, and fully believing my number was about to be called. Or the number of someone
He paused, taking a deep breath.
And then seeing it happen to someone brave, a survivor. Not to mention the pants-peeing terror of the rinse and repeat of that very same event. I just couldn't. And being here means I'll never have to again.
And what about her? You weren't alone in the RV, Eugene. You say being in here means you'll never be in danger again, but she's in danger right now.
Can't you understand that by positioning myself strategically within the organization, I am, in fact, safeguarding her future as well as my own? I understand that it may not be pretty or romantic, but by integrating myself here and becoming one of Negan's trusted few, I'll but assure that when the moment arrives, I will be able to appeal to him on her behalf. You see how he's offered you a place here, even after everything you've done. I know he'll do the same for her. I know it.
Sasha looked up at him in disgust.
You actually believe she'll do that? That she'll leave everyone she cares about to die and join you here?
I'm fully aware that this is what we would call a hold your nose and just get through it situation, but yes, I believe if she loves me the way she's claimed to, that in the end she'll see that taking up with the management here is indeed the correct select.
If she loves you, I saw her at the hilltop. She came with the others to fight, to do everything they could to come in here and get you. She thinks you're being tortured in here. You know what Rosita told me? She told me when they took you, Talissa didn't move or speak for over 12 hours. And the only thing that brought her back was fighting to try and save you. To save you, Eugene. And look at you.
Sasha turned away from him and faced the wall.
Sasha, I understand how you feel. I understand why this is a difficult choice, and you are right. I do not know for sure how Talissa will react when I present it to her. I hope she trusts me enough to at least hear the logic behind my reasoning, but all that is a moot point in this moment because I am not speaking to her. I am speaking to you, and I am asking you to say yes to what Negan is offering you.
He paused for a long moment before he spoke again.
He would have wanted you to.
Sasha glared up at him pointedly, and he shrugged his shoulders.
Okay. No, he wouldn't have, but I do. Please say yes, Sasha.
She scowled at him, thinking of all the horrible things she wanted to say, thinking of the look she knew would be on Talissa's face when she realized what he'd done, how it would break her. The anger bubbled up in her to the point that, despite what she'd said just moments before, she was itching to throw the knife in her hand right at his face. In the end, she managed to utter only one word.
Go.
Eugene began, but she silenced him with a look. His expression fell as his shoulders slumped and he sighed. He shook his head, giving her one more sad glance as he slowly walked out the door and closed it behind him. Sasha stared at the place where he'd been standing in shock, still unable to believe their conversation had actually happened. The body on the floor beside her twitched and slowly opened its eyes. She felt the shaking beginning in her arms, and she lunged, plunging the knife into his head, and as he fell limply back to the floor, she pulled her knees to her chest, hugging them tightly as silent sobs began to rack her body. When I Fall is a work of fiction based on AMC's The Walking Dead. Any characters not created by the author are the property of said company. The story will continue in the next chapter.